She is so disturbing to pay attention to in interviews. She's so special, thus woke that Disney has such a lot of payoff from how despicable her meetings are in the way that unlikable her character is that they've really terminated her. I assume I watched it once, and afterward, I at no point ever gotten it in the future. I mean, you realize the first animation turned out in 1937, and clearly tales twirling about Disney's choice to eliminate Rachel's Lar from the Snow White creation have sent shock waves through media outlets. This hypothesis has earned significant consideration, especially because of the different tasks from which she has been as of late given up. Most eminently, Rachel is being reevaluated in the exceptionally expected Paddington creation, driving numerous to estimate that her evacuation is connected to the pessimistic dynamic exposure she has produced as of late. This advancement has left Disney moving away from her flagging that her activities might have sweeping outcomes. The Twitter account Orc News assumed a huge part in the unfurling dramatization. It tweeted that Paddington 3 was set to envelope up recording by a simple 14 days, and that Rachel Zara's reworking was credited to progressing strikes. Anyway, this clarification didn't agree with many fans who rushed to bring up that other different entertainers in the US engaged with work strikes were still effectively partaking in Paddington. This irregularity thinks that her excusal is firmly connected to her new way of behaving, especially concerning interviews connected with Snow White, as insight about her reevaluating in Paddington broke the predominant supposition that was that she could confront a comparable destiny in the Snow White undertaking. In any case, no authority proclamation has been given on this matter, leaving it in a condition of speckle and vulnerability. Yet the tirelessness of bits of hearsay and inside data spilling from unknown sources has loaned validity to the possibility that her takeoff from Snow White is a veritable chance. Rachel's sanctuary's way of behaving has blended responses among fans, while some are excited with the possibility of her reworking because of her direct. Others have been vocal in their help of the entertainer. Pundits contend that Rachel has reliably communicated areas of strength for to the first Snow White movie offering, defaming remarks about an exemplary that holds wistful incentive for some have portrayed Rachel as entitled and discourteous, referring to instances of her stooping comments during different appearances. For example, her remark about not longing for genuine romance was met with analysis from the individuals who scrutinized her position on trying to cherish Rachel's activities, have led to pessimistic discernments about the film, making some move away from supporting her work. Even her co-stars have been trapped in the crossfire, with fans taking note of their evident distress during joint meetings. Theory recommends that her co-star, who plays the shrewd sovereign, may not share Rachel's perspectives, which has prompted noticeable contrasts in their cooperations. These errors allude to a potential conflict in regards to the movie's depiction in the fundamental subjects. One of the essential wellsprings of dispute lies in Rachel's propensity to evaluate the first Snow White story, naming the ruler as a stalker for needing to save Snow White. Pundits have brought up that in different retellings of the story, including those where Snow White is portrayed as serious areas of strength for a person, the presence of the sovereign remaining parts a predictable component, underlining the persevering through significance of affection. Disney, albeit inclining towards a more women's activist variation, holds on to not demonstrated a craving to eliminate the ruler out and out, as Rachel has recommended. This misalignment with Disney's vision might play had a urgent impact in the choice to disavow the entertainer. The Paddington circumstance highlights the eagerness of studios to supplant people who create pessimistic media strains, subsequently protecting their ventures from hindering exposure. Reports have proposed that the movie's chief was disappointed with Rachel when she proposed the expulsion of her co-star, who plays the ruler, from the film. Purportedly, he unequivocally protested her idea and was especially discomforted by her kid about eliminating Andrew Bapp, who fills in as the essential male lead. In spite of the earnestness of the circumstance and the ramifications for her vocation, Rachel's reaction has been described by levity. She decided to address the bits of gossip about her in an apparently casual way, which further energized conversations about her disposition and amazing skill. A greater amount of more than one TikTok client, Willen Russell, has offered bits of knowledge into Disney's point of view. As per Russell, Disney isn't satisfied with Rachel's way of behaving, as it doesn't line up with the picture expected of a Disney princess. He guarantees that this disparity fills in as the essential justification for her excusal from the venture, as her lead turned out to be extremely difficult to oversee. Moreover, he hints that this probably won't be whenever that she first has displayed such way of behaving, which reveals insight into the more extensive setting of the circumstance. Bits of gossip about her way of behaving and how unlikable she was to function with. Yet, in addition, you can see that honor and character turn out in a portion of the meanings in West Side Story. One of the significant issues that fans have with Rachel fixates on her obvious absence of energy for Snow White. It's hard to understand the reason why she would acknowledge the part in any case, considering her appearing lack of engagement in the famous story. I was frightened of the first animation. I assume I watched it once, and afterward, I at no point ever gotten it in the future. Like, I'm overall so serious. I watched it once, and afterward, I went on the ride in Disney World, which was called Snow White. Terrifying experiences. Doesn't seem like something a small child would like. Was unnerved by it. At no point ever returned to Snow White in the future, so I watched it without precedent for presumably 16-17 years. When I was doing Rachel's steady comments about how the movie ought to veer off altogether from the first story, combined with her absence of energy for the source material, have prompted Disney, supposedly looking for a more reasonable entertainer, to expect the job. While this choice might actually bring about monetary repercussions, it might likewise be the way into the film's prosperity in the cinema world by getting an all the more generally welcomed entertainer. Tales have even recommended that Disney has proactively distinguished a supplanting for Rachel with Lily Collins, habitually referenced as a potential up-and-comer. Prominently, Lily Collins has broad involvement with depicting Snow White, having featured in the 2012 transformation. Mirror fans are presently reviewing her devotion to the job, which might improve her appropriateness as an elective lead entertainer. I said, "You realize I believe there's a tad of snow in each little kid. And I imagine that this festival of life can be put towards any circumstance and any individual. It's only sort of setting free in allowing yourself to be you." The unmistakable difference between Lily's enthusiastic appreciation for the first Snow White's excursion and Rachel's annuity for bringing up defects has turned into the essential justification for why fans accept Lily would succeed in the Disney film. As the dramatization encompassing Rachel has unfurled, fans have returned to Lily's exhibition and the greater part have communicated areas of strength for her depiction. Lily's job in Mirror especially stands apart to fans as it grandstands a Snow White who can embrace genuine affection and use a blade capably. This mix of solidarity and love resounds with watchers, and they view her presentation in high respect. Many fans solidly accept that with Disney's significant spending plan and the loftiness of the big screen, Lily could turn into a notorious figure in the media. The possibility of Lily getting back to her job as Snow White, should Disney decide to supplant Rachel, might actually patch up the film. Totally sure of Rachel's impact. Apparently, the film's underlying vision was to portray a more grounded Snow White, a lot of in accordance with what Mirror accomplished. Anyway, Lily figured out how to saturate her personality with both versatility and a limit with respect to cherish, which emphatically reverberated with fans. The expulsion of the idea of adoration from this new transformation has not been generally welcomed. Given its verifiable importance in Disney films, it feels unsettling for an entertainer to communicate such pessimistic opinions about a fundamental saying intended to pass on strong messages. With Rachel's methodology, apparently a huge piece of the story may be lost in spite of the shortage of data about the real plot of the film. Supplanting Rachel would require an exhaustive reshoot of the whole movie, an undertaking that isn't totally phenomenal in the movie business. Such a move could have significant ramifications for the studio. Anyway, thinking about that, the film was declared back in 2016, and the projecting system required years. It recommends that Disney was focused on taking as much time as is needed to guarantee flawlessness, thus it chose to refilm the whole film to line up with their vision. Utilizing an entertainer who can offer due appreciation to the job probably won't be basically as whimsical as it at first appears to be. Besides, Lily's actual appearance adjusts well to the exemplary depiction of Snow White, a quality that resounds with fans. This projecting decision could likewise give an open door to the film to resolve different issues that have started huge reaction. For example, the choice to give regularized people a role as the Seven Dwarves as opposed to individuals with dwarfism has produced broad discussion. Many have censured the film for not giving chances to little individuals in significant movies, selecting rather for taller entertainers alluded to as mystical woodland animals. And certain fans are anxious to perceive how an expected supplanting of Rachel with Lily